Hey guys, this is Legolas Fanboy. Welcome back to Buried. Alright, so this is the beginning of Chapter 2. Chapter 1 left off pretty well. These are the stats that were done by me and other players that have played this game. You can see the different percentages and how well it was done. Well, not how well it was done, but how other people decided along with me or against me. So, let's begin Chapter 2. See how good it is. We're standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails well used but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. But there's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe? Why are we in a subway tunnel? Dennis, what do you think this is? Let's ask him. Looks like we're waiting for the D train, Dennis says with a deadly sounding cackle. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound, something like the faint hum of machinery. What's your take on this, boss? You think we're safe here? Dennis asks. Not at all. This is what I think to myself, but I don't want to let Dennis see how I'm rattled. While he seems to be limping along much better than when we first stumbled into this place, he's still in rough shape. I'm leading him here, and I should probably make him feel confident in that. I'm not sure. This is creepy. Yeah, we'll be fine. I think we're safe here. Honestly, no way to know. Say that's creepy. You told Dennis you were scared. I think we can officially say that we have no business here, I continue. If you want the truth, I'm a little frightened. A place like this, buried under the woods, well, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like we've walked into a trap or something. My lack of confidence is mirrored in Dennis's face. If he wasn't uneasy before, he is now. From the looks of it, we can either go left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this would have us wandering for hours. Suddenly I jerk my head to the right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Did you hear something? I asked Dennis, my eyes straining to see anything in the darkness. Not sure, he says. Maybe. It kinda sounded like footsteps. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So those are our options. To the left are flickering lights indicating that we'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but we also heard footsteps in that direction. Right, so do we think that left is gonna be good because there's light, or should we go right because we heard somebody? I'm just gonna go with light because I think it's better to be able to see what we're gonna go left with the light because I want to be able to see where we're going. Seems smart to stay in the light. Left it is. As we head left, the lights ahead are like a beacon in the dark, luring us forward. Someone left the lights on for us, Dennis says, trying to be funny but creeping me out instead. I wonder if that's a good or a bad thing, I say. As we near the lights, I hear the hum of machinery grow louder, but it doesn't sound like any machine I've ever heard before. As the light increases, I use it to take an inventory of Dennis and his condition. While the bleeding seems to have stopped, the amount that has soaked into his pants and shirt is beyond alarming. How much farther can you walk? I ask him. Can you keep going? Yes, Dennis says. Let's walk into the deep tunnel that has no business being here. Now fully stepping into the light, I notice that the sound of machinery is coming from an area on the left side that is protected by a guardrail. Wisps of bright blue light dance on the walls as they leak out from whatever it is below. I also notice a posted sign that says, Danger, severe radiation poisoning threat. Step closer and look, stay back, move on. Well, If we're already down here, might as well look at it. Just curiosity and whatnot. It's worth taking a look. We walk over to the guardrail and peer down below. This is where the strange hum is coming from. Further down in the dark, there's something that I can only assume is some sort of power generator. There are tanks, pipes, and valves, sure, but there's just something odd about it. It looks like it doesn't belong here. Hey, Dennis says, nudging me. Do you see that? He gestures to the main pipe coming out of the top. As my eyes trace along, it just disappears into a black floating mass. I rub my eyes and look again. The pipe goes up and into a sphere, but within the sphere is the deepest darkness I've ever seen, and the area around it seems twisted, almost like a rip in space. I don't know much about whatever this thing is, Dennis says, but I don't like being near it. I agree, and we take off down the tunnel again, eager to be away from the pipe and those lights. As we start walking, I notice another structure coming into view up ahead. Getting interesting. As we head further into the tunnel, we reach another platform. There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they are dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the logging site caused a power outage in this place, whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head was getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large, open area ahead in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we've walked into. I notice that Dennis can't seem to stop himself from shaking. His fear is mirroring my own. When we've reached the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted into the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heaving breath. You know what? Dennis says, exasperated. This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further. On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. Get up. Pull it together, Dennis. It's okay. Take it easy. You can do this. I want to be nice to him, tell him that it's alright. But we also should keep going too. It's like I said, we don't have... He's not in the mood for Dennis to be acting like a little kid, saying he's not just gonna stop moving, but... He's made it this far, so let's just be nice to him, so... I'm not the one with a gash in my side, I think to myself, so I decide to cut him some slack. Damn, boss, I'm sorry, he says. It's okay, I say. I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest. Stubbornness, he says with a weak laugh. You need a minute to rest? I ask as warmly as I can muster. No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I can still go. I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize those red emergency lights might be on for someone else who's actually supposed to be here. Yell out or stay quiet? Why would I want to just yell? I don't know what's out there. I know there might be help, but this isn't supposed to be here. I don't know what else it could possibly be, so... I'm still not sure if I want to alert anyone to the fact that they are strangers in this secret place. And the thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream, in this empty place is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret, and if it is supposed to be a secret and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone has been evacuated. While I'm pondering this, a wave of nausea comes over out of nowhere, and I lurch forward, vomiting all over the floor. Whoa, is all Dennis mutters as he instinctively steps away. My insides feel like they're trying to escape. I put my hand out looking for a wall to lean on. Are you okay? Dennis asks, finally pulling himself together from the surprise. Yeah, I barely gasp out. After a minute, the feeling subsides. But where in the hell did that come from? Was it the weird power generator? I finally collect myself and stand back up, praying I never have to feel like that again. Let's keep going, I say, wiping my nose with my sleeve. We step inside, and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. Oh gosh, I was looking at the power generator. Is it that much radiation? It's already making me sick. I mean, I don't think Dennis got as close as I did because he's hurt, so he was just kind of standing back, but God, if that's already affecting me, I hope it's just nerves and fear and shock is kind of wearing off, so it's making me throw up. Ooh, that is a nice background. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming to the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the walls, and the floors look well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thought. But for what? Dennis asks, and then he asks the question that has been on my mind since I found the little building in the woods. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Well, someone's turning the power on. Or it's just a backup generator that's taking a long time to get on. Maybe it's because it has been used a long time that it's super slow at starting up, but maybe that just means there's no one here and it's just the system itself rebooting. Well, that's a more nicely lit picture. Still, it's creepy though. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, this place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long with two main doors. One door opens into a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and paper strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall on defeat and lets out a scary-sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask as a dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just going to sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. Oh, man. Well, that's not good for Dennis. Go to the conference room to see what they were writing about and talking about, or go to the lab. It doesn't really know what's in the lab, just tell it's a lab of some sort. And go to the conference room, just seems like a best idea. Have some written paperwork I might be able to actually understand, except for maybe some lab stuff that I wouldn't be able to get, so. A large table sits in the middle of the room, lined with a series of chairs. It looks like something straight out of a showroom. A well-used whiteboard hangs on the wall, and there are scattered papers on the desks. Look at the papers, look at the whiteboard. My only thought being the whiteboard might actually be a collection of stuff if they were trying to take chunks out at the papers. So let's look at the whiteboard. A few things are scribbled on the whiteboard, mostly formulas and names, but there are some things that are easy to understand, things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6, cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode, spherical liquid, induced comatose state first, TerraCore Company equals possible plutonium supplier. Well, if I can look at the papers, I'm going to look at the papers. I'm just going to ignore those. Most of the papers and printouts have codes and equations that go way over my head. This is why I didn't go to the lab. But there are also handwritten notes that don't make me feel any better about our situation. I read through them and see scrawled notes that say things like, "Last experiment failed equals overdose before transport. Levels indicate cellular catabolism. More lead shielding in export suits? Measurements make no sense. Let Barksdale know about possible Higgs field fix." Outside in the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor. But I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. That's not good, but that was what I'm guessing. Dennis heard him running, so he was trying to get me out here again. Alright, let's see what happens with this guy. Back in the hallway. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young, with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a gun in a stressful situation. And as he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It is aimed directly at my head. I'm not just gonna try to attack him. If he's any good with the gun, he's probably gonna kill you, so... Universal sign of surrender. I put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls the trigger. "Who are you and how did you get here?" the man asks harshly. Before we can answer, he continues speaking. "I don't recognize you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak by the security mics in the entrance hall." "What?" I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. "Who are you?" the man asks. "Did you do this?" The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He is scared, but there is something else. "We're just loggers, or nobody, don't shoot us." Just tell me that you're loggers. I don't want to have the thought of shooting in his mind. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, "Bullshit." But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. "Someone knocked the power out," the man says. "It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble." "Was it you? Who sent you?" "Look, we don't know what you're talking about," Dennis says. "Something happened out in the woods." "Are you alone? Are there others with you?" the armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation? I think to myself. If only I had left that damn ringing noise alone, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if we want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. Tell him you're looking for your crew, because at least that way he doesn't think it's just the two of you, is my thought. Because if he thinks it's just two of us, you know, bang bang, everyone's gone, and we can go back to business. So, just saying you're looking for your crew, keep him on his toes. We have other crew members that we can't find, I say. Your crew? He asks, seeming confused. If this man thinks we're nuts, there's no telling what he might do. The fact that he looks a little crazy himself makes the situation even hairier. But how did you get in here, the man asks. I point down the hallway towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. The man's expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is leveled less than a foot away from my face. To add to the stress of the moment, another bout of nausea starts to bubble up inside of me, making me dizzy. Maybe going so close to that radioactive machine in the tunnel wasn't such a good idea after all. Oops. It takes all I have not to puke and to stay focused on the muzzle in front of me. Please put the gun down. Grab his gun. It's a foot from my face, which means I can grab it probably and move it before he shoots me. But I don't know what kind of situational awareness this guy has. I don't know what kind of skills I have. Dennis is on the ground. I want to grab his gun, but I'm afraid it's going to set him off. I just don't want to get shot. He calmly asks the man to back down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Step between Dennis and the gun. I'm not just gonna let you kill him. He's being a dick. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we are here by mistake. Well, you have no business being here, the man says, but now that the power is on, I think it might be too late anyway. For what? I ask. But he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats a question he would ask before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? He asks. You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? No, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I'm the president. I couldn't just be it. Dude, you should just go to tell him that you don't know what you're talking about. No, I say, we're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story, the man says, but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still, he says. Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward, as if he has an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that, I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. Look, Dennis says, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then in a movement so fast that I just about miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he is moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago, I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there is a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize that I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralyzed, in shock for a moment as Dennis and the man fight over possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall I could use as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. Man. Can I punch the guy and then run for it? Because I know the fire extinguisher would be a lot more powerful than just my fist, but I don't know if Dennis is going to be strong enough to get him. I don't know what to pick. Because like I said, I want him to run for it, come back and smack this guy over the head, but I don't want Dennis to get shot. I mean, he's already hurt. There's no saying. Because if he shoots Dennis and then he aims it at me, then I would have grabbed it for nothing. I'm just gonna punch him. Dennis has the man pinned to the floor, but isn't strong to keep him down. Okay, so that's what I was worried about. As I fall to the floor to help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face, a reminder of how close I had come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. Never really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it is apparently effective. The man's head snaps back hard and his grip on the gun loosens. Dennis grabs the gun and falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Oh, thank God, no, I'm good. He didn't kill us. Our attacker is immobilized, and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet, although he is basically harmless now, I feel the need to pummel him, a desire that builds with each second I look at him. Oh, just step back. You got the gun away from him. You don't need to beat the crap out of him. He's definitely out now. No threat, or at least it's what I think. But he surprised me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. My eyelid swells to the size of a grape almost immediately. It seems like this last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches into the floor. He's done. Dennis instantly hands the rifle over to me, and I take it with shaking hands. I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun, Dennis says. He could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I say, although I had known no such thing. Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing. His eyes look to the floor. What do we do now, boss? Dennis asks. We've come this far and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers, the man says. I don't have any. Next time, I won't just hit you, I say, plunging the rifle towards him. Now get up. He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. Okay, let's move, I say, pointing the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us. Its steel sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it is making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. What's your name? I ask. Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? I ask. No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's gotta be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here, I say. Where might I find one? Down on the second floor, he says, but we can't go down there. We're going down there, okay? What's on level 2? Just ask him. What's on level 2? He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside of a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help save my friend, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't, he says. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. And seemingly to himself he mutters, I'll make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. Then again, he came at us with the rifle. It makes me think that things have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or to ask for sympathy. I don't want to make anyone upset. Like, obviously this guy's not incompetent, so... Look, I say, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. Marcus just really seems out of place. But I think he's one of those techie guys who, like he said, makes the place run, but he doesn't think he gets enough recognition for it. I'm just kind of surprised that he knew that his instinct was to go get a gun when the power went out, which means he knows something's not right here. There's something more powerful than just himself is down here, and that's not good for us. It's exceptionally well lit, and it looks like it should be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? I ask. We can't leave, Marcus says. Once the power came back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? I shout. Can't you override it? No. It prevents anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls into the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly we start to move. The hum and grind of the car's motors fill the space. What can you do? So we're stuck here forever? Just ask him what he can do. So what can you do? Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock the doors or even get medical supplies. Why keep a guy around who can't even grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answers me. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn the computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground, helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. How big is this place? What goes on here? Just ask him what goes on. I don't care what the size of it is right now. Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me. I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I don't even cover... Sorry, and the things I know don't even cover the start of it. What does that mean? I asked, starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I don't know enough about it. What's your job? Try to sympathize with them. I handle the IT work, well, told you about that part, and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen sunlight in almost a year. Damn. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues, because of the workload. No one else wants this job, but I don't really mind being myself. No family. Plus the IT, it's some crazy shit. Crazy how, I ask. This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. What happened here? What knocked the lights out? What happened? What knocked the lights out? Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There was an outage and then... Then what? Dennis asked weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I asked. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place. Just in case, you know? Just in case of what? As his mouth opens to answer... As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away, without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns in emergency vaults in every single room? End of chapter 2. Check out my results. Man, this is getting good. Curiosity. Even 61% of players ignored the warning sign and looked at the glowing reactor. Selflessness. Even 64% of players stepped in front of Dennis to protect him from Marcus. Mercy. Even 65% of players were easy on Marcus after he surrendered. So I picked a majority for all three of those. So that's a little reassuring that I'm not the only one who thinks like this, but man. So like I said before, Marcus is obviously the guy who runs this place, but no one trusts him because he doesn't have the kind of background experience that they have. Like, if this is all military based, he probably wasn't a military guy. Like he said, he went to MIT, so I can only assume they hired him nearly out of college. I don't know if he had a master's or a doctorate, but straight out of college, he was really good at what he did, and they don't give him enough credit because he's not like them. He's the weirdo. He's the outcast. He didn't do anything, but he's just different from them because he's not from their backgrounds. He's, like I said, he's the IT guy. He's basically the guy that you don't talk to him unless you need help, and then if things go wrong, you get mad at him because it's his job to keep everything running. So, man, the fact that he knows... that we now know that people were dying, that's not good. And he says it's still down here, which also isn't good. It just means it's bad for us in any given situation, but man, this is getting good. This is better than I thought it was gonna be, honestly. But anyway, that's gonna be the end of this video here, guys. Thanks for joining me. If you liked it, hit the like button down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you already done that, share this video with your friends, and as always, guys, have a rocking day.